Hello and welcome to Devil's Advocate. Last week's bombs in Bombay have once again focused attention on the Kashmiri terrorists and the alleged support they received from Pakistan. Although on Thursday General Musharraf strenuously denied any connection, the firm belief in Delhi is that there is a clear and unmistakable link. That's the issue I shall raise today in an exclusive interview with the Foreign Minister of Pakistan, Khurshid Kasuri. Mr. Kasuri, let me start with a question that's at the top of the minds of everyone in India this weekend. Does Pakistan use the jihadi groups and the terrorism that they periodically unleash as a weapon or a lever against India?
Well, before I respond to this question, I'd like to begin by condoling with the families of the victims and the bereaved in that ghastly tragedy in Bombay. And I'm very surprised the way you put the question. You've already assumed the guilt. Everything, has to be judged in the interest of an individual or a nation. How does it serve our interest? On the one hand, we are carrying on this dialogue. Our economy is doing very well. The fact that our economy has done so well in the last 5 or 6 years is registered here, and is because we have stability and peace.
So are you saying that in fact Pakistan doesn't use the terrorist groups as a lever and weapon against India?
Of course I'm saying that. There's no shadow of doubt.
Let me in that case quote to you what you said to Reuters just a week ago. I think the Mumbai incident underlines the need for the two countries to work together to control this environment, but they can only do so if they resolve their disputes. You're clearly saying that the terror will only end when the Kashmir dispute is sorted out, and to people in India, that looks like a clear threat.
I'm very surprised. You can draw any conclusions you like. It's a very commonsensical statement. It's a matter of common sense. You have large borders. There are hostile people. There are lots of Kashmiris who've been displaced on this side. You've got a fence. And now what I'm trying to say, you're referring to the government of Pakistan. What we are saying, the government of Pakistan has a strong interest in having peaceful relations with India. But in order to prevent people who wish to fish in troubled waters, you need to improve the situation and deny them that.
Foreign Minister, you're questioning the logic I'm putting to you. Let me in fact say to you that it's not just in India that people believe that the Pakistan government uses jihadi groups and terror as a weapon against India. Your own newspapers, The Post, on the 12th of May this year, wrote this: after the initial crackdown, the major jihadi organizations resurfaced and regrouped to run their respective networks with different names and identities. And then wait for it, this is what it says: the pattern of treatment being meted out to them by the military-led civilian government suggests they are being kept on a leash, ready to wage a controlled jihad in Indian-occupied Jammu and Kashmir. Your own paper, The Post, believes that terror is a weapon in your hands.
If you're going to start quoting each other's newspapers...
But these are your papers.
No, I'll quote you the Encounter or the Front Line or whatever. It was one of these articles that I read. It was on the 18th of September, the 12th of September 2005. That is the date, I think, in which the shenanigans of some of your people, what they do in Pakistan, have been very well recorded by one of the top intelligence agents in India.
It may be the case that India is interfering. It may be the case that India is interfering in Pakistan, but the point I'm putting to you is the opposite. Your own newspaper, The Post, clearly believes that jihadi groups are a weapon in your hands.
What I'm trying to say, your own newspapers clearly believe that you're up to lots of tricks here. The issue is you have free press in both the countries.
All right.
People are entitled to their opinions. You will get a contrary opinion in Pakistan. You'll even get an opinion in Pakistan which says that Indians are doing lots of things and Pakistan is not retaliating. So that proves nothing.
Let's leave newspapers aside.
Yes.
Let me quote to you instead senior Pakistani politicians who no longer deny that the government is involved with terrorist groups. Asfandar Wali Khan, the president of the Awami National Party, last week in India confirmed to the Asian Age that Pakistan provides weapons and safe houses to jihadi terrorists. Your own senior politicians say that you're involved.
First of all, I have not read that statement. I don't know the content.
Asian Age, 14th of July.
I'm not saying that you're giving me an inaccurate quote. All I'm trying to tell you is this: if you're going to start quoting individuals, why don't you then quote what the United States State Department spokesman Boucher said?
I will.
What did he say?
The 9/11 Commission, in its status report for November, said terrorists from Pakistan carry out operations in Kashmir. In their December status report, it said Musharraf has not shut down terrorist camps. Your own
Why
allies believe that you're guilty.
Why don't you talk of the Bombay tragedy? What has the State Department said? Since you're quoting to me the Americans, let me quote to you the Americans.
And I can quote Frank Pallone back to you.
No, I'm quoting you, not Frank Pallone. I'm quoting you the State Department itself, Richard Boucher.
And Frank Pallone, a senior Democrat, a member of the House of Representatives, says that
I'm quoting to you the person who represents the United States of America in South Asia and Central Asia, and many other reports. And in fact, a recent report, the State Department on the issue has paid glowing compliments to Pakistan as being a frontline ally in the war on terror.
Let me then ask you a small, simple, blunt question. Are you saying that the jihadi terror groups have been restrained as you committed yourself to do in January 2004? Are you saying that no part of the territory of Pakistan is any longer used for inflicting terror on India as you committed yourself in January 2004?
You have the word of the President of Pakistan, you can't go any higher. The President himself has been attacked thrice. Would he be supporting the sort of people who are trying to kill him?
In fact, then
the Prime Minister has been attacked.
Then there
were 45 people killed in Karachi. Who was behind that?
Don't take the doubt of the Indian government. Don't take the doubt of your own press. Don't take the doubt of your own opposition politicians. Listen to the International Crisis Group, where a member of the executive committee is your own Asma Jahangir. This is what it says in its latest report. The infrastructure of banned terrorist groups and thus their capacity to mount terrorist attacks remains intact.
What does Arundhati Roy say about the level of Indian democracy? Should I accept that? Hook, line and sinker?
But we're not talking about an internal problem, which is what democracy in India might be. We're talking about Pakistani groups inflicting terror on India. It's a different thing.
Let's not be selective. Let's be positive. I wish to have this interview to tell the people of India that Pakistan is committed to peace. If you're going to start quoting statements of this nature, I have a list of 1,000 statements like that. And they're in my memory. For everything, I will respond.
Let me one last time quote you Amir Mir, one of your country's most respected senior columnists, writing last week after the Bombay blast.
Amir Mir or Hamid Mir?
Amir Mir. And referring specifically to the claim that Pakistan has stopped all terror, this is what he says. Despite General Pervez Musharraf's claims of having uprooted the terrorist network in Pakistan, most outlawed militant groups and their leaders are back in business. Second, these militant groups couldn't have achieved such potency without the support of the Pakistani military and intelligence agencies. Third, the Pakistani establishment needs these groups to achieve its strategic goals in the region. Once again,
what is there in it? It's a person's opinion. I mean, you can have 1,000 opinions in India.
I've quoted to you your politicians, your press, the International Crisis Group, the US Commission. What weight of opinion will convince you?
I can quote to you your own Human Rights Commission on Kashmir. That is not the issue. Let us be positive. There has been so much progress in the relations in Pakistan and India. If you are going, I'm surprised you didn't quote Kargil because I was ready with Siachen. Let's not do that. Let's be more positive.
All right. Let's not indulge in what they call colloquially a tutu meme of allegation and quotation. Let me explain to you instead why the Indian government remains suspicious about the assurances. On Thursday, General Musharraf addressed Pakistan in reconciliatory terms. He reached out a hand to Bombay. He identified himself with the tragedy of Bombay. And yet, the LET, although it's banned, your colleagues in government don't miss an opportunity to consort with the leader of the LET, Hafiz Muhammad Saeed. Ministers meet him regularly. They treat him like an honored political guest or friend, not the head of a terrorist organization. That's why people are suspicious.
First of all, Lashkar-e-Taiba has been banned, Jaish-e-Mohammed has been banned. You are now talking about Jamaat-ud-Dawa. Now, what you're going to say is, why has the name changed? That's not
what I'm saying.
No.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying to you this. Lashkar-e-Taiba has been banned, and in 2002, Hafiz Muhammad Saeed was in fact detained. And yet, today, Chaudhry Sujat Hussain, the president of the PML, Senator Mushahid Hussain, the Secretary General of your own party, the PML, attend formal meetings convened by the same gentleman. On the 11th of February, they did precisely that. Ijazul Haq, the Religious Affairs Minister, attends seminars on the 21st of May, convened by the same gentleman. Prime Minister Sikandar Hayat Khan of what you call Azad Kashmir attends inaugurals of hospitals. Clearly, these close associations suggest that far from distancing yourself from Hafiz Muhammad Saeed and the LET, you're closely linked.
It shows nothing of the sort. Waqil Ahmad Mutawakkil, the former foreign minister of Afghanistan, of the Taliban government, is now I don't know whether he's in the government or in parliament in Afghanistan, but he's changed.
You're not answering my question.
No,
Are you saying
answering
that
your question.
Are you saying Hafiz Muhammad Saeed has changed?
Hafiz Muhammad Saeed is now head of Jamaat-ud-Dawa. And
it is the same organization under another name.
Jamaat-ud-Dawa is under strict observation.
But the Americans consider it a terrorist organization. It's the same organization under another name.
No, it's not the same organization.
It's sleight of hand.
If it were the same organization, they would also be banned. You know, during the recent earthquake, we were told by Americans and others and NATO, why are these people doing humanitarian work? They actually helped NATO troops in that area for the rehabilitation and relief work.
Herald magazine last July went even one step further. It didn't talk about how your ministers consort with Hafiz Muhammad Saeed. It said 13 new militant training camps run by allegedly banned organizations like the Lashkar and Jaish had opened up in Mansehra. You say one thing to the Indians, you do completely another matter here.
All you're doing is, it only shows Pakistan is a thriving independent media. Let me pay a compliment to them actually.
Happily. No. They're revealing the duplicity of the government.
I'm trying to tell you something else. What I'm trying to tell you is this, that there are very few countries in the world, and that doesn't include India and the United States, where the media takes on the establishment. In our country, the media does not even spare defense and foreign offices. There are very few countries.
You're very good at turning the tables, but the truth is that the media is revealing the duplicity of your government.
I'm not turning tables. All I'm trying to do is to explain to you that we have an independent media, and I can quote you 20,000 statements of our respected media people who are attacking the government of Pakistan for what they say is a very, very docile policy, and they in fact accuse us of U-turns on Kashmir and on Afghanistan. So you cannot quote selectively.
I'm not quoting selectively. I've quoted so comprehensively. I've quoted your press. I've quoted your
I have also quoted your people.
I've quoted the International Crisis Group. I've quoted, in fact, the US Commission, the 9/11 Commission. And now I'm pointing out facts that your cabinet colleagues are consorting with a man who is accused of heading a terrorist organization.
I have responded to that by saying that we will not allow any act of terrorism by anybody.
But it's happening.
No, it is not
happening. The quantity of terror in India since October has gone up markedly. I'm talking about Delhi, Diwali blast, I'm talking about Bangalore, I'm talking about Varanasi,
you know the biggest problem that you now have in India? And this, let me give you advice in your own interest. Within 30 seconds of anything happening, you already know that it's happening from something based in Pakistan. Why don't you sometimes look at what your own newspapers are saying? I've been following your newspapers. I've followed the Washington Post, what it has said about the recent Bombay blasts. Your own people are pointing fingers inwards. So don't, in fact, you're misleading your police and your investigating agencies. I want to get to the bottom just as much as you. We condole with the people of Bombay, and please do not try and distort the investigations by the police.
Let me quote to you what Prime Minister Manmohan Singh said in Bombay on the 14th of July. We are certain that these terror modules are instigated, inspired and supported by elements across the border, without which they cannot, with such devastating effect, act. What do you say to him in reply?
Let me quote to you your own Home Minister, Shivraj Patil, who made a very statesman-like statement immediately after the blast and said, let us not play into the hands of people who wish to destroy the Pak-India peace process. I wish to pay a compliment to him, and also the earlier statements of Prime Minister Manmohan Singh were very moderate.
What about this?
What has happened 3 or 4 days later is actually a reaction to your own India's domestic compulsions.
All right. Let me then put it like this. There is a clear deficit of trust between the Indian government and the Pakistani government over the issue of terrorism. The sweet words that General Musharraf speaks on television simply are not taken at face value in Delhi. People look at what they claim is the reality and they say that General Musharraf is only speaking rhetoric. What happens on the ground is very different. Let me then suggest something.
Yes, please.
The Indians are looking for a concrete gesture of solid proof that you are committed to January 2004 and you will not let acts of terror originating in Pakistan be perpetrated against India. In that case, can you think of an act of solid proof that can convince the Indian government?
When the President of Pakistan on the television goes and says, we will follow up, we will cooperate with your investigating agencies, give us any solid lead. What else do you want?
That's at the moment rhetoric only.
It's not rhetoric. It's not rhetoric.
Let me give you a suggestion.
I would say that yours is rhetoric when within 30 seconds you already know who has done, who is behind it.
Let me give
you don't, in fact, look at your own media, which is pointing accusing fingers at organizations within India.
I'm not sure what media you refer to. You've frequently spoken of the media pointing, accusing fingers inwards. I haven't read any such article, but leave that aside.
I will tell you when this interview is over, because I do not wish to dabble in your internal politics.
Let me come back to the sort of gesture that I believe would be considered solid proof and an act of good faith by Pakistan. In 2002, the LET was banned, their offices were raided. In 2002, Hafiz Muhammad Saeed was detained. You have lots of documents and papers that you've taken from the LET. You have an interrogation record of Hafiz Muhammad Saeed. Make both of those available to the Indians.
All I'm saying is the people of governments of Pakistan and India are involved in a peace process. No, I'm coming.
Beyond the peace process, you now need to build trust on terror. Make these documents available.
We need to build trust on lots of things. There are lots of things happening within our own country where we need to build trust with India. I'm now talking of lots of our borders.
Are you saying yes or are you saying no? Or are you not answering at all?
No, I am simply saying let's build trust, and a stage will come where we will be able to conduct joint investigations for what happens in Karachi or in Bombay.
I'm not asking about something that happens after the building of trust. I'm talking about something upon which trust can be built. Without this sort of solid proof of cooperation, the Indians will continue to doubt you.
No, my response to this would be that there were people killed in Karachi. I think you're being very rhetorical, and I wish to keep my voice low. I want to get to the people of India through you. People have been killed. Ghastly incidents have taken place in Quetta, Lahore, Karachi. Fingers have been pointed. We have not laid the blame. We've not asked for the sort of thing that you're asking. All I'm saying is I would rather that we move towards what you're saying. We'll have to help each other. And there are many instances where we have made requests to you.
Let me make it simpler. Don't release interrogation records. Don't release LET papers that you have taken into your charge. Simply do one other thing. The Indians are convinced that Masood Azhar and Hafiz Muhammad Saeed are responsible for much of the terror that's inflicted in their country. Allow them to interrogate these two gentlemen in Pakistan.
You are asking very strange things. For example, we have not allowed the United States of America, which is our ally for the last 50 years.
The Americans don't think you're involved in the terror against them.
No, they are not.
The Indians do.
In many other cases.
You have a peace process with India that's faltering. You need to revive it. I'm asking you for a gesture.
We are bending backwards to build peace trust. You know, there's something.
Is your answer no? Is your answer no?
There is something very important I want to point out which is relevant to this. The two leaders in a joint statement said they will not allow acts of terrorism to interfere with the peace process.
Right. And the Indians are saying that General Musharraf has not fulfilled his commitment.
Because we have not reached that level of trust. Incidents are happening in Pakistan and in India, and we need to go towards that.
Let's take a break at that point. Clearly, the answer to my suggestion is obvious to everyone. Even though you haven't said no in so many words, it sounds like a very clear no. Let's take a break and come back and ask you a simple question. In the light of what you've said, does the peace process still have a future? Or is it effectively dead in the water? We'll be back in a moment's time. See you after the break. Welcome back to Devil's Advocate and an exclusive interview with the Foreign Minister of Pakistan, Khurshid Kasuri. Mr. Kasuri, let's talk about the stalled peace process. The foreign secretaries are likely to meet in Dhaka. Are you hopeful that after General Musharraf's recent conciliatory statement on Thursday, when the foreign secretaries meet on the 31st, the pieces might be picked up, the process might start again?
Oh, I definitely think so, and I hope so. And in fact, when you said after the recent conciliatory statement, Pakistan has been, just after the Bombay tragedy, not a single statement from either the President, the Prime Minister, or myself, has been anything but conciliatory. We sympathize with the people of Bombay.
So you are seriously expecting that when the two foreign secretaries meet on the 31st of July in Dhaka, they will actually move to fix a date for the talks that were stalled?
Well, I definitely hope so. I would like to. I'm sure peace lobbies in Pakistan and India would also hope so.
Let me put this to you. In January, General Musharraf revealed on this program for the first time his concepts of self-governance and joint management. He said that he had discussed them at the very highest level with the Prime Minister of India himself, but he was disappointed. He said that he'd got no response whatsoever. 8 months later, have you got a response to those concepts from the Indian side?
You know, it's not proper that I talk that openly, but still, since the President, Prime Minister of India had also indicated in a public statement that he'd send something to Pakistan Otherwise, I wouldn't be speaking about it. We have received something from India, and I think the back channels are working, and I know what they're doing, but I can't speak more than what I've already said.
Don't reveal the details of the message or the ideas you received from India, but are these ideas that you see as hopeful? Do you see them as a step forward?
Well, you see, the point is to bridge the gulf between Pakistan and Indian positions. And as long as we are talking to each other, I think that is something positive. And
But specifically on the messages you received from India recently, do you see them as an advance?
well, they are definitely an advance because for the first time we've heard something in writing. So it's definitely an advance. But whether our two positions are beginning to merge, it would be inaccurate to say. So we are talking to each other.
Maybe the two positions aren't merging, but now both sides are coming up with ideas. Both are exploring options for a settlement as they agreed to do in October.
I cannot deny that.
You cannot deny that.
No.
So in fact, the disappointment that General Musharraf expressed in January has now in a sense been catered for 8 months later by the ideas you've received from India on the back channel.
The president was disappointed because he had received nothing by then.
But now you've got something.
Now we've got something from India, and I'm very sorry, probably I've said more than what I should have said.
But you believe that this is an essential step forward. Maybe a small one, but a step forward.
Of course, because if you don't respond to somebody else, how can you go forward?
Then the paradox is that side by side with the setback as a result of what happened in Bombay, there's also been this advance on the back channel. The two contradictory things seem to have happened together. That's the paradox of the situation.
Because I think actually the leaders in Pakistan and India both value the peace process. Unfortunately, the back steps that we've been forced to take as a result of domestic compulsions, and that's why I quoted to you the very good statement of your Home Minister and also your Prime Minister
We have just
after the Bombay
we
tragedy.
have just 15 seconds left. Despite what happened in Bombay, despite the angry comments from Delhi, do you remain an optimist?
I am a born optimist, and as Foreign Minister who has knowledge of what's going on, I am an optimist.
Mr. Kasuri, a pleasure.